Alright, hello, this is the CS61B gold points video. So my idea was to take user input. More specifically, I would allow the user to input a number, and what this number signified was it would be the number of additional random planets that were added to the existing planet solar system that was given in the spec. So to do so, I would add these bodies into the array of bodies with randomized instance variables. So for instance, the radius, y velocity, and mass. Now it's important to note that the y position and x velocity started off as 0, as shown in the spec, because otherwise weird things would happen. And then to expand a bit further on the randomization process that I used, I imported java.util.random, and then I used that to generate doubles. And one more thing is I only used reasonable values for values such as radius, y velocity, and mass, because if those values were too small or too big, then the whole universe would just have weird things happen to it. For instance, planets would fly off the screen instantly, or if the mass was too low, they would get sucked into the sun. So I didn't want any of that happening. So without further ado, I will go ahead and demonstrate it. So first, I'm going to run the command which was given at the end of the spec. And as a modification, it will prompt me to enter the number of additional bodies that I want, or I called them balls because I used the picture of the balls. So one thing to note is that it only takes integers. So for instance, if we try to enter a string, say like potato or something, it will throw an error, and that is to be expected. So we'll try it again, this time with something like a double, and that will not work either. And then I will go ahead and run a sanity check. So if we want 0 additional bodies, then it should just be the original solar system that we had. And indeed, it does show up like that. So that is a good sign. And then now I'll enter 1, so that will signify 1 additional ball or body in the system. So this time we generate a ball that starts at a random x position, and then for this one, with some of the balls, depending on their properties, which are again randomized, they will fly off the screen. But if we do it with more balls, so let's say like 5, so what you'll see happening is, well, I guess 4 of them flew off the screen, but we see one which has instance variables that are similar to the actual planets. So this one sort of orbits the sun in a reasonable method. And we will try that again just to show that it is randomized. So hopefully this time, yeah, so this time not all of the balls just, or not 4 of the balls fly off the screen. Instead, it looks like all of them are orbiting reasonably like planets would. So essentially, you could add as many of these bodies as you really want to, but if you add like more than 10, the whole screen is going to end up being a mess. And in terms of physical intuition, this makes sense because it seems like, well, these bodies do not affect like the trajectories, or negligibly affect the trajectories of the existing planets, and this is because their mass is like significantly smaller than the mass of the sun, so therefore it does not affect their trajectories. But one final demo I have, so again, this time based on the randomized variables, all of the bodies orbit the sun like normal planets. So I am going to recompile after changing the randomized mass. So this time the mass of the planets that we're going to show are going to be closer to the magnitude of the sun. So it would be similar to if the solar system actually had like 2 or multiple suns. So first I'll start off with 1, and then what will happen is the planets will kind of just fly off the screen, and that's due to the large gravity of the new planet, which has additional mass. And if we do that again, sometimes it'll show different behavior, which is again to be expected. So this time it seems like the 2 quote unquote suns will orbit each other, and then eventually they'll fly off the screen. But yeah, that is about it for my video. Thank you.